Hi everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Everyday Elder Care. I'm your host, Casey Price, from the elder law firm of Price & Price in Haddonfield, New Jersey. We are the elder law firm that focuses on helping families dealing with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And today, before we start our discussion with my good friend Jared Willmann from Byron Home, I'd like to take just a moment to talk about an issue that has been coming up a lot lately in my office. And that is when caregivers help their elderly loved one by paying for care under the table. And that's a problem. We have to be really careful. When your elderly loved one uses their money to pay for care and does so under the table, it seems like a good thing because they're getting more care for less money. There's a positive there. However, we have a number of negatives that have to be considered when we're doing that. Number one, it's illegal. We have to pay tax, employment tax. The people collecting the money have to pay income tax. So you have to be really careful because just doing it in and of itself is illegal. But number two, you're not insured, right? So the person, if they get hurt, if the aide gets hurt on your property, it could be a problem because you could have liability because you're not insured. There's no insurance protecting you from their injuries or them from being injured, so you have to be careful there. But third and finally, it's another one of those things where Medicaid can seem a little bit illogical. Because you think of it like this, you are paying for more care for less money. You're getting more care for less money. But when the time comes to apply for Medicaid, you can't document the fact that you were using your loved one's money to pay for care. Medicaid could look very strongly upon that in a negative way. They could be very upset by that and in fact could assess Medicaid penalties against those expenses because if you can't show that they went for care, they could be considered gifts. It's a big red flag. So remember, be careful. You don't want to pay for care under the table because it could cause problems in many different areas when you're caring for your elderly loved one. Now, with that put aside, I want to talk to a friend of mine from a company called Byron Home. His name is Jared Willmann, and he's one of the owners of Byron Home. And thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, I've said Byron Home a couple of times, but that doesn't mean anything to the viewers. Let's tell them, what is Byron Home and what do you do?
Byron Home is a senior move management company. We help seniors and their families when they're looking to downsize and move into a smaller home. Oftentimes, that might be another home, or maybe it's an apartment, sometimes independent living, sometimes assisted living, sometimes memory care. So we provide support to our clients and their families when they're looking to downsize and move.
So in my opinion, doing what I've done for so many years, you're really the most important part of the moving process. The thing that holds most people up from actually moving forward with the move is, what am I going to do with all my stuff? I'm overwhelmed. How am I supposed to pack it up, figure out what I have, store it? You can help solve that problem, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. The word that we hear all the time over and over is our clients feel overwhelmed. And I think, when people do feel overwhelmed, whether it be about moving or anything else, it'll often cause a little bit of panic and fear, and they'll freeze, and it'll stop them from being able to move forward productively as they're getting ready for their move. And so one of our first pieces of advice for anyone who is downsizing is not to panic and to break the move into manageable pieces. And that's what we aim to do when we come out for an initial consultation, is to just meet with the clients and get a game plan together so that we can start moving forward in a productive way and make some progress.
Yeah, I mean, what you do is so important because I sit with kids every day, adult children of an elderly loved one who say, man, they would do so much better in assisted living, but the thought of them leaving the house is just so overwhelming. And what you do is so important in that regard.
Exactly, and we want to get them into an environment where they can thrive right away. And so a lot of what our service is about is making it comfortable not only on the end where they're living and getting ready for the move. We want that to be a comfortable time for them and not be stressful and overwhelming and a time filled with boxes and clutter and things like that. But we also want that time in their new home to be enjoyable and comfortable right away. So a lot of our service is making sure that when we get the client moved in, they're able to enjoy that new living space right away, what the community has to offer, so they can interact socially, so they can enjoy everything right away, and they're not worried about getting unpacked and trying to deal with a mess that was created from the move. We want it to be mess-free, stress-free, and comfortable right away for our clients.
Well, we're going to dig deeper into all of that, or dive deeper into all of that. But before we do, let's talk for a minute about how you got into the business. What got you into this and helping the elderly in general?
So this actually started for me when I was young. I was 10 years old when my mom, Donna Willmann, started Byron Home in 1998. So we're now in 2018 celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I literally grew up in the business, and I remember as a kid loading up the vans with all the boxes and supplies and getting them out, on the road. And then as I got a little older, I would actually help on, some of the pack jobs and unpacks and helping to, get apartments set up and all that. And my mom would show me the floor plans that she was reviewing with clients, and as she'd be working on them at night. And so I literally grew up in the business, but I didn't know that I was going to get involved with Byron Home necessarily. I was never pressured by either of my parents, both small business owners, to follow them into their respective businesses. And I went to college and I thought about what I'd like to do, and I knew that I wanted to do something that I'd feel good about, something that made a difference and helped people. I ended up teaching for a couple years, and once I wanted to move in a different direction, I looked to the company that my mom had created, and I was just really fortunate to have something to move into that was already a successful business and that made a difference in people's lives, and I could put my own mark on and join. So I was really fortunate for that.
It's a great story. It's so nice. Family businesses are wonderful. I know I've been in one now for over 20 years myself.
Right. That's
so
right.
It's a fantastic story. So happy. And we're going to come right back with more. We'll be right back with more here with my friend Jared Willmann from Byron Home in just a minute. Stay tuned.
At Plymouth Rock.
Welcome back to Everyday Elder Care. Once again, I'm joined by my guest today, Jared Willmann from Byron Home, and you're talking about the really important service that you provide to families, because you make the move just so much easier. And when we talk about the move, when's the right time for somebody to contact Byron Home about this?
Yeah, so the short answer is really the earlier the better. It always helps to start right away when we're thinking about downsizing, because in so many cases we're talking about decades worth of things to go through. Most of our clients have lived in their family home for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We've moved a couple clients who were literally born in that home. They never knew another home. So they lived there for 70, 80 years in those cases. So the earlier the better is always a good time to start. I would say at the very latest, a good time to contact us would be when you know where you're going to move to, when you know the destination. Because when you know the destination, if you know that you're moving to a small home or a two-bedroom apartment or a studio apartment, then we can start to really plan for that particular place and the storage capacity that it has. So when we think about a move, we're going to start with space planning. That's the first service that we're going to begin to think about when we know what the new destination is. So what we'll actually do is create a customized floor plan to show our clients not only the to-scale size of their new living space, but also how their furniture will fit. Their customized furniture pieces are created so we can play paper dolls essentially and see how everything is going to fit from a furniture perspective in their new living space. That's step number one and what we call space planning, creating a floor plan. From that point, we can then go into the second phase of the move, which we call sorting and organizing. And we think about all the contents, all the small things that our clients are going to want to bring with them on the move. And when we think about the move, we do it from the perspective of what is coming with our clients. We don't do it from the perspective of what's not coming. We really do it from the perspective of what is coming. So we think about the available space in that new home. We think about the furniture that's coming, the available closet space, the available cabinet space, and we think about the appropriate amount of items to bring for all those areas. So not only are we bringing the right amount of furniture for the new space, we're bringing the right amount of contents. Clothes, dishes, tchotchkes, decorative items, pictures, lamps, etc. Those are really the really important move planning steps that we take leading up to the move. And then of course we help with the packing, we help with the move planning and the coordination, the oversight of the move, and we help to get everything unpacked as well. But a lot of the really good work that we do starts in the pre-move planning stages, so that by the time we get to the packing, get to the move itself, and get to the unpacking and settling of everything, we have a good plan in place so that we know not only that things are going to fit, but how they're going to fit, where things are going to go in the new space, so that we can set our clients up right away and have them comfortable.
So let's just make sure everybody's really clear. You gave a great example there, but I want to make sure people understand. You don't drive the trucks. You're not the moving company. You're not the realtor. You don't work in the place where the person's going to be moving to, whether it's an assisted living community or an adult community of some sort over 55 type place. You are almost like a wedding planner, right? They bring you in, you lay it all out, go through everything with them, make sure they know what they have, what they can bring, how it's going to fit, and you facilitate all of that. But you do hands-on packing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we're a move manager, exactly, and so we have oversight over the entire process, and we're going to be able to do hands-on packing, hands-on unpacking, hands-on sorting and organizing, hands-on space planning. See, these are some of the direct services that we provide. We oversee the move and make sure everything's going according to plan. But like you mentioned, we do use a traditional mover for our clients' moves to make sure that everything arrives, in one piece and in good shape. So we do use a traditional mover in that sense, and we help coordinate different services that might be needed. Whether it be if a realtor is needed, we can recommend one. If they need help with a clean-out service or a buyout service or an estate sale or anything like that, donations. We help to coordinate those services as well and make sure that our clients have a comprehensive game plan to attack everything that they're going to have as part of their downsizing process.
What an amazing service. Now, and I bet you've helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people in the last 20 years. And so when the child says it's so overwhelming, well, sure, you're doing it the first time. Mom's lived in her house for 60 years. You're trying to do it the first time. Jared, you've done it countless times.
Thousands is absolutely correct. And oftentimes I think what's really helpful about what we do from the perspective of an adult child is, we're an impartial expert on the subject. And so a lot of times we'll find that there might be some strife between an adult child and their parent when they're thinking about what they're going to bring. A lot of times children, very well meaning, might say, oh, I don't think you should bring that, Mom, or I don't think you should bring this, Dad, I don't think it's going to fit. And that can be tough for that parent to hear, because they're used to being in the driver's seat and making those decisions on their own, and they should be able to make those decisions on their own. We want to provide that support so that they can make an informed decision. So when we do a floor plan, it's a collaborative process. We're not telling our clients, this is what you can bring and this is what you can't bring. We're working together with them to make sure that what is brought along is comfortable and fits well, but also is something that the client wants. It's not just what we want, it's not just what the adult child wants, it's what the client wants to bring themselves. And that's really important for all our moves, so that the client themselves has the ownership over the move. Because in the time when you're downsizing, it can feel like you're losing a lot of control over various things in your life. And it's really important, and we really emphasize for all of our moves, that the client has ownership over the entire process.
Jared, we're going to take a real quick break right now. We have a lot more to talk about, but we're going to take a few seconds here, and we'll be right back with more for Everyday Elder Care. Welcome back once again to Everyday Elder Care. I'm Casey Price from the Law Offices of Price & Price in Haddonfield, New Jersey, the elder law firm that focuses on helping families deal with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Once again, my guest today is Jared Willmann from Byron Home. Jared, you've been sharing with people all sorts of information about how you can help with that transition, that downsize, and assist the family. But I know a lot of my clients will say, there's no way I'd let somebody in the house. My mom's a hoarder. And that can be a barrier to getting the help they need, or even downsizing mom when that might be most appropriate. Do you deal with that a lot, and how's it work?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I hear all the time when I'm first meeting with clients for that initial consultation is, does everyone's home look like this? And clients often will feel embarrassed, like they have more stuff than everyone else. And the simple answer is that everybody does it. When it comes to acquiring things over time, and we're talking about families who have lived in their home for decades. We talked about it, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, raising a family, going through all these different stages of life. And it is not uncommon. You are not alone if you've filled up your home over those years you've lived in it. And I think the term hoarding probably gets thrown around a lot. And what some people might consider hoarding is really just clutter. And it's really just stuff. And it's not hoarding in the strict definition. So what I would say is that you really have to understand in the downsizing process that everybody is in a similar situation. We've done so many moves, and the only real hurdle in the downsizing process is not the amount of stuff that you have. It's the willingness to be able to downsize and be able to get rid of some things that you no longer want or need anymore if they're not going to fit in your new living space. That can be a true hurdle for anyone who's looking to downsize. And if it's a true hoarding situation, that might be tough if the person is having a hard time emotionally getting rid of things and moving on from things. But as long as we're able to, approach it from the sense of we know we need to downsize and we're not going to be able to bring everything, and our clients understand that, we're going to be okay. It doesn't matter how much they've accumulated as long as they have that perspective.
And that's why having a professional makes such a difference. Well, Jared, one of the things I always like to touch on here is dealing with families touched by Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And I'm guessing you have a lot of experience helping families dealing with those issues.
Absolutely. Almost all of our clients are seniors or at least boomers, who are looking to downsize. And more often it seems we're dealing with clients who have some type of dementia or Alzheimer's disease. And it's not uncommon for us to be moving our clients into memory care or assisted living when some of that has set in. And what's really important in these situations is just to have a company like ours who's experienced in handling it and knowing that you need to tailor the move to that particular client, and having discussions with family and healthcare professionals about this particular client, what time of day they should be moving. It's really important to make sure that for any move, but especially to move someone who might be dealing with Alzheimer's or some type of dementia, getting things back into place where they're familiar with them, because familiarity is so important. So it can be tailoring the move for time of day. It can be making sure that they have that chair or that piece of art or any particular thing that they're going to hone in on as soon as they get in their new home and really feel like they're home. But that feeling of home and familiarity is so important, and being able to recreate that in often a day's time, where we will arrive in the morning, do some packing, and have things set up that afternoon in their new home for them. So it's amazing. It almost like you snap your fingers and they're set up in their new place. And that's really important for our clients that are dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, because you don't want to string a move over a number of days. When they're dealing with that, it can be too challenging and too much stress for them. So really tailoring the move to them.
And it's so interesting when I hear you talk like this. I can imagine the client who's trying to help mom move into the new community and at the same time coordinate all these other things so mom's as comfortable as possible as soon as possible, and you take so much of that stress away. It's incredible.
Absolutely. One of the things that I recommend to clients when we're moving them is to actually not show up right away to the new home as the move's taking place. I recommend for family to take their mom or dad for lunch, relax a little bit, get away from the move a little bit. Let us oversee the move. Let us coordinate the placement of furniture. Let us start to unpack some boxes and get things settled, because it's organized chaos as movers are bringing in furniture and bringing in boxes, and it's a little bit of a whirlwind at first. And it's better to just leave the professionals to handle it and honestly go relax a little bit. And so what we do is we allow our clients and their families to focus on the emotional side of things, focus on relaxing, and not deal with all the stress and the details of the move. That's something that we can handle for them.
I can only imagine how many people have said to you, Jared, if I knew it was going to be this easy, I never would have waited. that why didn't I do this sooner phenomenon that so many of us as elder care professionals encounter. You've heard that a lot, I guess.
Another thing that we've heard over and over again from people is, oh, I never knew like a service like yours existed, or I wish I'd known about you a year ago when I was helping my parents to move, or I wish I'd known about you a year ago when I was moving. So it is definitely an industry where we're a small business, and it's an industry that a lot of people aren't aware of. Senior move managers is not something that, when I do presentations and I ask the audience, who's ever heard of a senior move manager, I get a couple hands out of the bunch, and it's not a lot of people. So a lot of it is what we're doing today, getting the message out there so that people do understand that services like ours exist, and so that they can call on us when needed.
And the people who are watching this show need to be heroes. They need to identify what you do and think about all the people they know who may benefit from this. Maybe not right now, but if somebody has a parent who may be declining, transitioning in some way, and that move maybe in the future, oh man, they could do them such a big favor by sharing your information with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is just so important. So yeah, and it's really, I have personal experience with what you've done for my clients. You've helped move clients from assisted living rooms into nursing homes where we've had to downsize, but we still brought some of the favorite things, and you were able to set that up for the client. And I had one where it was really difficult because I had a son who didn't want to move. He was living with mom and dad. And your movers came in and worked around him. He let us work around him, and I was there all day to make sure there wouldn't be a problem. But they worked around him, didn't disrupt any of his things. We set strict parameters. They didn't disrupt any of his things, but were able to help mom and dad with everything they needed to accomplish that day. In one day, it was amazing. So, what you do really is just so important.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I'll tell you, what is it? Is there anything else you'd like to share with people? Is there a tip or something that people should know?
Yeah. Actually, I did bring a few tips, and I mentioned one of them at the beginning. Just don't panic whenever you're thinking about downsizing. We talked about how our clients feel overwhelmed and they feel stressed and they're kind of frozen. And don't panic. That's tip number one. Break the move into manageable pieces. When we talked about our services before, having that order of events and that sequence really helps our clients in being able to just start with a floor plan and have that be step number one, and then go to sorting and organize, and that's step number two, and kind of work our way through the move process is really helpful to compartmentalize the different stages of the move. Another thing that I would say, I think we can kind of all relate to this out there, is don't assume that your children, adult children, grandchildren are going to want what you don't want. Make sure that you ask. This is something that I think we find a lot in the downsizing processes. A lot of times we'll just assume that, okay, well, I don't want the dining room set. I'm sure my son or daughter will take it, or my granddaughter will take it. And it's not often the case that family is willing to take everything you want to give them. So make sure we're planning for things like this. Another tip I would say is be kind to yourself in the process. It's not necessarily a brain-busting idea, but we tend to be so stressed and so focused on making progress as part of the move that we want to make sure everything gets to the perfect home and make sure that this little tchotchke gets to this person and everything finds its perfect home with family and friends. And be kind to yourself and make sure you're treating yourself well in the process.
And Jared, I think the most important tip is that people know how to find you and pick up the phone and give you a call. So why don't you do me a favor? Let everybody know, just remind them who you are and how they get in touch with you at Byron Home.
Okay. So my name is Jared Willmann with Byron Home. We're a senior move management company here in South Jersey. And you can get in touch with us by calling us at 856-573-7840. You can also email us. My email address is jared@byronhome.com. So that's jared@byronhome.com. And also feel free to visit us on our website, byronhome.com. We have a lot of great testimonials, and you can fill out a consultation request, and I'll come out and meet with you. Free consultations, and we're looking forward to helping you with you on your move or your loved one.
Jared, thank you so much for coming in and talking today. You shared such important information. I think another important thing is that people don't make the decision themselves. Pick up the phone, call Jared, find out if what he does is right for you. Let's let Jared help make that decision. Don't you decide, he can't help me, it's too difficult. No, it probably isn't. You've dealt with really hard things. So thanks again for coming in. I really appreciate it. And thank you once again for tuning in. Hopefully you found this information helpful. I know I did. I learned something today. Tune in next week. We'll have another great guest in our next episode of Everyday Elder Care. Once again, my name is Casey Price, and until I see you again, I wish you nothing but the best. Bye-bye.